Hello, Reds. Welcome back to Liverpool Latest. My name is Matt. Thank you for joining me today. I'm grateful for you guys showing up, and as always, please leave a like on the channel today, as well as a follow and a comment or rating, giving me your thoughts on today's news. I wanted to talk about this yesterday in the last upload, but at that point in time, I didn't. There was a couple other things that had come out that I wanted to touch on. This kind of is in correlation to what has happened post PSG, and I figured this was important for me to talk about because it goes to show the problems Liverpool are going to have with the transition going into the next season. So after the match with PSG, Arne Slot was quoted in saying, and a lot of this news is coming from Anfield Edition on Twitter. He goes on to say, much is being said recently that this club is in a transition. We have sold 8 to 10 players to recoup money to sign 4 to 5 or 6 players. Now we are losing Mo. We are losing Andy on a free transfer. We lost Trent on a free transfer. So basically what I am getting out of this quote is that they have moved around a bunch of what could have been key pieces in the future of the club. And now that we no longer have those pieces, whether they are on loan or whether they were released to other clubs or picked up by other clubs, names that come to mind are Simicast, Kwanzaa, Harvey Elliott. The list can go on. And again, this isn't just releasing, this is also loans. Diaz is gone. Nunez is gone. A lot of these guys are off the team, or at least seemingly off the team either for a little while or permanently. What bothers me is that we have gotten little in return for them. We have not gotten proper replacements for them. And the problem is that half the people we have gotten for them are constantly injured. Frimpong, Ekitike is now hurt, and that's just the way the cookie crumbles at the moment. Or those other players are just underperforming. I should mention Isak because he was out for a while too. So the 4 to 5 to 6 players we eventually signed have more or less made little of an impact throughout the course of the season, which is an unfortunate thing to say. Now, as Slot Captain obviously points out, we're losing Mo Salah. We're losing Andy Robertson, both of which on a free. Now, Mo, we could have gotten a fee for him, but the club, in my opinion, did the right thing in releasing him and letting him go wherever he wants to go. No money to exchange hands whatsoever, regardless of how you feel about it from a business perspective. I think this is the respectful thing to do for Mo. It sucks for Robertson because, well, we could have actually gotten something for him back in January when the rumors of him going to Tottenham were very, very prevalent. Unfortunately, that seems like that's not going to happen either. So, well, not unfortunately. I mean, I'm glad he's not going to Tottenham because God forbid he goes to Tottenham. But unfortunately, we're not going to get anything for him. So, in a sense, it's like what happened last year. We lost Trent on a free, regardless of whether you feel that it was ethical or not, which is besides the point. And we didn't really get much to replace him properly because the right back's position has been cursed for the better part of the entire season since then, with Frimpong being constantly hurt, Gomez having to be in and out of the position, Szoboszlai being in the position and not necessarily flourishing as well because he's not a natural right back, and Connor Bradley being hurt, which was an absolute killer for us as well. Not to mention Endo, who could probably play that position a little bit here and there as well. But the point I'm trying to make is that we can't keep letting players go and get nothing back, and especially players that are not being properly replaced. We certainly didn't replace Diaz well. That's without a shadow of a doubt. Those who we did put in that position are constantly hurt, so we have to keep reshuffling the lineup, which sucks, frankly. When Isak got hurt, I knew that was going to be rough. We tried things with Ekitike, and he was having an on and off success. Mo was struggling all season. Gakpo was just hot fucking garbage. So from a striker's position, we don't have shit. Like really, we need to have something to back that up. And we are just in a position where we're going to be losing probably even more players this year. And who's to say that we are not going to replace them properly? Because who knows what Richard Hughes or Michael Edwards are going to do to put the proper pieces in place. So I absolutely hate this. I mean, I don't know what this summer transfer season's going to bring us, really, and I'm quite frankly scared. Last year, I thought this was like the greatest time to be a fan. Like just after a huge win, we said goodbye to a couple of key pieces in there. We signed a couple of great players, or at least great on paper, and nothing has panned out the way we would have hoped, which is an absolute bummer, if you ask me. Probably the biggest bummer of them all is the idea that McAllister could depart Liverpool this summer, according to Simon Jones. And I've been seeing this a little bit more in recent weeks. Now, I am not going to sit here and say that Maka has played his best football this season. As a matter of fact, it's been a huge downgrade from what happened last year when he was absolutely balling. I'm not sure where the disconnect is. People can blame Slot. People can blame him as a player. Something is not adding up to this with me. And as much as I like Maka, it would suck to lose him. And it would suck to lose him from my perspective, because who the fuck is going to replace him in the midfield? I feel like I'm not really sure they have a proper replacement for him. I don't think that that's even possible right now. I don't think that's even fathomable. I have not seen anybody talk about the midfield as much as they should. A lot of it is more or less in regards to the defense and the forwards. But the midfield, which we should be bolstering up, whether it's through extensions or new signings, has been more or less very quiet, from what I understand. And maybe there's some pieces of news in there, but this is probably the biggest news of all, that Maka could potentially leave Liverpool. I mean, I've reported on this here and there that his feelings towards Slot are very, I don't want to say discontent, but there's certainly a bit of disgruntlement there. There's a bit of disgruntlement with him and Slot at times, and if he leaves, that would be a bummer, because I do like Maka, but at the same time, we also have to take into account that the club is not necessarily performing as well, and he's not necessarily performing as well, so maybe there needs to be a change in his position. And not to mention, the World Cup is going to be coming up soon, and Maka is going to have a very, very significant place in the Argentinian side, of course, with Messi and the likes of everyone there, which kind of scares me a little bit, because now let's think about this. If he leaves Liverpool, or if he doesn't leave, let's say he doesn't leave, then he gets hurt during the World Cup. God forbid, right? What's going to happen to Liverpool then? Because now we have no one to replace him. They haven't been doing any recruiting, as far as I know, in the midfield, or at least not as much as other parts of the team, to have a game plan for something like this. I don't think any of the team has been really thinking about the potential of injury from the World Cup. Granted, there were injuries happening in the international breaks, or at least the most recent international break. So I sit here and I wonder to myself, is the team taking into account the grueling couple of weeks that they're going to have in regards to having to watch every single player that is currently playing for international teams in the World Cup, and what it will mean if any of them get injured? So if he leaves Liverpool, there's no argument here. There's no discussion to have. He's just going to be injured, and he's just going to not be a part of any team for a while. But if he's injured and he's still a part of our team, what does that mean, and who's going to take the replacement? Because we'll be just as screwed as we are now, because the injury bug has certainly been an absolute plague on this team this season. Probably worse than any illness or any personal problems or who knows what. But injuries have certainly been the biggest problem on this team this season. And considering that McAllister could leave anyway, it may be a null and void argument, but I would want to see Macca stay because I think he needs to show the fans that he can prove himself again. I think he's more than capable of doing it. I'm not sure why his style of play is not clicking as opposed to last season, but then again, that could come down to the manager. So we'll just have to wait and see about that. Now, the other thing I want to touch on that has been shocking and not shocking, and it's coming from David Ornstein. He is quoted in saying, "I'm not aware of Alonso being on Liverpool's agenda. People might not like to hear that, and if I'm proved wrong, you can all laugh at me." So here's the deal, man. This has been reported constantly for the better part of the last several months since Alonso left Real Madrid, which is hilarious considering now Real Madrid is out of the Champions League. So where did that get them? What bothers me here is that if it's true that Liverpool are not even considering having Alonso as a part of the team in some capacity, we might be in for a rough season next year with Slot still at the helm. Because all I've been seeing is that Slot is continuously being backed by the club despite the incredibly poor results and the incredibly poor outcomes that have been happening, whether it's injury or losses or draws or whatever. We have lost or drawn, we've lost more times this year in this season than we have had in like the last 15 to 20 years practically, or at least close to it. Any other manager in the league right now would have been fired on the spot for such a statistic. As a matter of fact, we have seen it for far less with United. Chelsea, I think, also did something. Tottenham, I think, has done it twice at this rate. And they're getting relegated. So teams that are actively seeing what's going on the field and saying, hey, this is not working for us, we need to do something about it. And then here we are with the troubles we've been having, and the club, according to, again, David Ornstein, says that there haven't been any talks with a contract extension for Slot, but it seems like from every other piece of news and media that I've read personally, that they continue to back Slot. So very contradictory reports. My problem with this situation is if we don't do anything about Slot this season and we let him stay as manager going into 2026, 2027, we might lose out on Xabi Alonso, which is a problem because, as we all know, Pep's leaving City, or at least it's been rumored or it's been confirmed that he's leaving City. And if Man City picks up Alonso, Liverpool would have just sat on their hands and did nothing, and instead continued the same exact trend of the definition of insanity, trying the same thing without expecting a different result. And lo and behold, City will probably absolutely dominate the league because now they have Semenyo, Guehi, they took Alonso from us. So, like, what hasn't City done at this rate to us this season, trying to sign players, or in this case, coaches? So if Alonso gets signed to City and Liverpool just sit on their hands and saying, oh, he's not even on our radar to begin with, that would bother the shit out of me as a fan, because what does that say about the front office? What does that say about those in a position that are higher than Slot saying, hey, we're not performing well, we have an opportunity for somebody to step in and potentially take this to the next level, someone the fans adore, and we're not going to do it because we would rather prove to be right in our decision than make any sort of change. And that would hurt more than anything. I would lose faith in the front office of this team, and I have lost faith in front offices for sports teams before. I've lost faith in the Rangers front office with Chris Drury at the helm the last several years. I have lost faith in the New York Giants front office. Yankees will never fucking get rid of Aaron Boone as far as I'm concerned, and Hal Steinbrenner has no fucking spine. compared to his father, George Steinbrenner. So where does that leave me? The Knicks? The Knicks have been doing a pretty solid job in the front office when they've been trash for 20 plus years at that point beforehand. So here's a team that's actively trying to make changes, and Liverpool are just, again, different sport. Yes, I know, but the point remains the same, that if a front office notices something's not right, changes need to be made. And what does it say about a front office that is actively seeing probably the biggest coaching, pickup here, and they just will refuse to let it happen because they would rather be right as opposed to be successful. And I don't think Slot can be successful. I think Slot would be successful on a smaller club, somewhere in the championship maybe. Maybe one of the smaller clubs or the less likely successful clubs in the Premier League, but I don't think he could take Liverpool to the future that we were hoping for. I think we got lucky with the Premier League championship last season under him, and ever since then it's been downhill from there. So you can't tell me that letting Xabi go is going to be a good decision when you still have someone that clearly is proving to be incompetent little by little to be at the helm. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Last but certainly not least, and this is another shocking piece to me, which is mind-boggling. I've talked about Anthony Gordon and how he has been on Liverpool's, or should be on Liverpool's radar. But according to David Ornstein, again, he's been mentioned a lot here already because it seems like Anfield Edition has been quoting something that he put out recently. A move for Anthony Gordon is not on Liverpool's agenda this summer, even after Ugo Ekitike's injury. I love incompetence in sports. It's mind-boggling to me how shit like that happens. Now, am I going to sit here and say I want Anthony Gordon? I think Anthony Gordon would have made a good addition to the team. I don't think Newcastle would let him go, not for at least a large fee. But the fact that there are players now that were rumored to be on the radar that are now not, even after a significant injury to the front side, the front three or whatever we want to use it in formation. You're going to tell me now that Anthony Gordon is not an option because we just lost probably one of our biggest younger signings to a horrific injury? Like, you're going to tell me that is no longer something that's on the agenda this summer after you are now down to 2-star strikers, Salah and now Ekitike? Like, who do we have at this point? Do we even have anybody? Like, yeah, we can put Rio on, but apparently there's a rumor that Rio is going to be on loan next summer or next year, which is a bullshit fucking thing that I saw. That's got to be fake. I mean, there's no way you can prove to me that Rio is not fit to be on this team. There's also rumor that Federico Chiesa is going to be gone in the summer. That would be a shitty situation too, because he never really got a chance to shine under Slot. So now we're down potentially four players. Mo on transfer, or Mo on leave, Ekitike on injury, Federico Chiesa, whether it's on a transfer or on a free, and Rio on loan, allegedly. These two are alleged, by the way. And you're going to tell me that we're not eyeing Anthony Gordon after he's been consistently linked to the team for the better part of the last few months? Like, are we fucking stupid? Are we dumb? If Ornstein is right here, I would just absolutely throw this computer out the window and I would never want to read another piece of news of Liverpool again. I don't know. Then if that's the case, what is our recruitment this summer? Who are we trying to recruit? I don't think we're going to sign Elise because he's been doing way too well. I think he's in Bayern right now. Bayern's in the semis of the Champions League. They're not going to let that guy go. Not at all. I highly doubt we sign Nunez, even though I think it's probably the best course of action after the Ekitike injury. But as far as now losing potentially 4 guys, I mean, we could sign them, but I don't think they will. But the fact that we don't have even an inkling of trying to sign Anthony Gordon is like an insult at this rate, because who are we eyeing then? I mean, we had big names that we could have signed. We could have signed Semenyo. Gahey would have been an option on defense, and they just didn't do anything with that. So is our plan now to let players who could be good for our team, despite maybe some ridiculous prices being added on? Maybe that's the only thing that that's preventing them is the price. But are we at least not going to try? Because it seems to me like if you're not going to try, someone else will. And if someone else will, they might be successful. They might not be successful, but the fact of the matter is, if you ask me, the fact that you don't at least make an attempt to spark a conversation, put an offer out there, that tells me, especially when you're in dire straits, by the way, that tells me that you don't want to win. That the front office has given up on winning, or at least given up on trying to do something to make the team better. So it starts with Slot and potentially ignoring Alonso. It starts with treating Mo the way they have on the way out. It starts with, it starts with the potential of losing Maka and losing, other members in the forward position for whatever reason, if that is true. And so what do we have? What do we have? What offers are we putting out there? What are we going to do? And that is what I leave you with today on Liverpool Latest. I'm at a loss. Today's video, I am at an absolute loss for what we are going to do this summer. If all of this is legit, we're screwed. That's all I have to say. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate you being here. Be sure to leave a like and comment if you're available to. And, of course, follow the show and subscribe wherever platform you like. Be sure to leave it a 5-star review, too, if you listen to it on any podcasting platforms like Spotify and Apple. That would help me tremendously, by the way. So, if you can, do that. And be sure to join the Liverpool Latest family, because unlike the team that is treating their players like absolute shit or making absolutely asinine decisions, know that with me, you will actually never walk alone, because I'm here for you every single day, dropping this catastrophic news. Let's be honest. Thank you guys for joining me as always. I will see you on the next one.